All right, so it is time to dive in after the Trump tweet sent the market tumbling. So, yeah, Friday was a wild ride. It was a crazy day for everybody. We saw a 1 day sell off like we haven't seen in quite some time. So, where do we pick up the pieces? What do we do? What's the play for tomorrow? A couple things that have happened. Number one, Trump basically de escalated, and we're in the after hours, basically looking like we're going to be on our way back up. You never know what next tweet's about to come out, so we still have to prepare and kind of understand what levels we're looking for and plan accordingly. So to get right into it on SPY, we closed Friday at 6:53. Now I know we have. Let's jump over here. Yeah, so in the overnight we're 661 here roughly. So that lines up really well with something that we'll look at right now. So you see the level here at, let's call it 660. So that's a level that we want to see not only recaptured, preferably right straight away. If this overnight move that we just looked at, if this 660, 661 can hold and we actually get market open at that level, then what I'd love to see is obviously that price level hold. That's where we had all of this testing in the month prior in September. But then I'd love to see how much of this candle we can engulf. And so if we can really get at least to what I would call about 50% of the entirety of this candle, so we can start pushing like 663, 664, I would call that a successful rebound. I would call that a good move to get started. If we start pushing up against where you see this level that I've got here, 669, let's call it. If we start trying to take that, then we're feeling really good. And at that point, then you start wondering where between 669 and the mid 670s, where can we close? Can we do that all in one day? I mean, obviously, if we could go down, we can go right back up. Do I think that's my base case? Not necessarily. Number one, we don't know what hits the news tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, whenever it might be. But number two, you're gonna figure just how many people jumped in and tried to start hedging after the fact when essentially it's too late to start hedging. A lot of people were talking about markets don't bottom on a Friday. I felt like it was too many people saying that, kept hearing that over and over and over again on interviews and Twitter and stuff. So at this point, you've got to think like, did a lot of people load up and go essentially short, load up on puts? If that's the case, then you might have a little bit of rocket fuel to get back up there. If it wasn't as heavy, then maybe we got to battle some of these price ranges, and then I'd wonder about tapping up against this 669. But like I said, if you start seeing it take that 669 fairly easily, but then that's great because we're going into earnings season. We got, I think, the finance, but basically banks start the earnings season this week. Expectations are really good earnings, so let's see how that goes. But yeah, tomorrow morning, especially that first hour, if we see the first 30 to 60 minutes of trading, if we see, let's call it 669 being tested or taken, then we're setting up for a monster day. It's also a bank holiday, so I don't know how much additional money is kind of tied up and can't be added into people's accounts, and that adds a kind of a layer of difficulty in reading it. But first things first, let's capture 660. Let's make sure that this after hours move or overnight move is held, and if we can do that, I mean, we're looking pretty good. Something basically pretty similar on the Qs. So we came down. I thought this was interesting. We came down, basically tested this 590, lost it, closed the day at 589.50. if we go, let's see, QQQ. So 600 in the overnight. Yeah, 600 in the overnight. So that's pretty fantastic. Lines up with our chart very, very well. So 599.98, call it 600. So we have effectively, if we can hold that and open the morning at 600, then we've effectively done on the Qs the move that I want to see on SPY, where let's try to get the 50% move on this candle. Let's try to recapture that, and then spend the day, working our way up. A similar look, I have this level of interest here on the Qs. It's at 604 roughly. So let's see if we kind of bop our head up against that, see if we kind of do kind of a little price action in here, or if we just bust right through it. So let's figure out within the first hour how that's going, and I think that'll set the tone for the rest of the week. If again, same thing, if we bust through that and we start challenging these candles, then this is going to be an incredibly strong week, and then I'd just be looking for upside move. And I mean, it's not only confirmation of the bull market, but it's like with good earnings rolling in, if that occurs. And then as long as CPI comes in and is not an insane number, which BLS did confirm that we're getting CPI on October 24th. So as long as that's coming in and it's not an insane number, then we're rolling, because at the end of the month we'll get the rate cut. And so yeah, then I think that at that point we're talking about all-time highs, and that could come mid to late this week. And if on Monday we're testing these levels, and who knows, maybe that's Tuesday. So that's kind of basically the look that I think SPY and QQQ deserve. As far as like what about bottom side? If a tweet comes out, or if for some reason these overnight moves that we talked about can't hold, then a couple things that I would say on QQQ specifically. I still think this is a really important area. There's a lot of interest here at this 590. We've battled there, we've retested it, so that's an important area that's of interest. Just to have some perspective, so this line down here, which was let's call it 60, it was 559. Let's call it 560. That was the low of the month for September, which happens on the very first day of September. It was September 2nd, and that was the low of the month for a month that we thought was going to suck, and it actually turned out to be great. So if you think about it, we're literally at levels that we had been at not that long, a couple weeks ago, not that long ago. And at this point, I mean, we are so far removed from where we opened up September, where we tested September 2nd, that I don't see anything else derailing us to get down to these levels. If we do see further downside, then there are a couple key levels that I think, like 575 becomes really important. 565 to 575, this range becomes really important because of previous price action. But I don't even think we're getting there. So I think maybe on individual names that you're holding, particularly if you have large positions and you see some price action that's where it's kind of getting up and it's having trouble with a certain level, and it's just tapping up on those levels, then I think you can maybe think about hedging a little bit. You can maybe think about adding some puts. It's just an insurance policy, so you'd have to be okay with that, maybe just going to zero or closing it out once you confirm that the move is topside. But that could be one thing that you look at to get into some of the big names, and we'll try to keep this one short this week. But to get into some of the big names, so NVIDIA. Yeah, it's big candle. We got down to the 183s, tested 182, almost an exactly perfect bounce at 182. Low of the day was 182.05. That's pretty incredible. I mean, nothing crazy at all here. I think we look at NVIDIA much in the same way as these other names. We can check out what the overnight's doing. So overnight's doing 188. Yeah, again, lines up really, really well with our chart. So closed here at 183 on Friday. Overnight's up here in the 188s. I have a level at 189, 188, 189, call it the same level. So this range here is where we're testing if we can hold that overnight and then open tomorrow morning at that level, then a similar look, right? We've recovered 50% of this move, and then we're talking about pushing up and trying to get after those all-time highs. What's interesting about this name is, if you notice, this is all-time highs, right? So 189 is there's basically one candle, small candle we had on Thursday, a little bit of an indecision candle, but there's basically not a whole lot going on here. So it's not like you've got heavy volume shelves there and heavy trading going on there. So that's looking amazing, especially if you close this early. If you get this line, this level captured off early in the trading session, yeah, I think NVIDIA is going to rock it as long as we can get that. Let's do Tesla. Let's see. Tesla was an interesting one. So Tesla gave up 420 with a move down into that range where, so if you remember, we talked about this last week. So the Elon kind of price range is basically roughly up in here. So this was, not that it's a floor, but essentially this was the $1 billion open market purchase that Elon made, essentially setting a psychological floor, let's call it, because that's just such a high conviction move for that amount of money, and obviously for the leader of the company to make. And so there's this psychological floor here. So when we lost 420 on Friday, I found it interesting. I was wondering if we were going to lose this wick, which coincides with the candle bottom there, the body on September the 15th. So that was about 410, and we got close, but we didn't actually breach that. So at that point, it was just about the whole discussion on taco capitulation, de-escalation, whatever you want to call this, on Trump's behalf. And same deal. Let's find out. Let's see what we got going on in the overnights. So in the overnights, yep, there you go. So 422, what do you know? So 422 is recovered. I think this 420 to 425 area, I don't have it marked off here, but this 420 to 425 area for Tesla has been pretty interesting. You can see it there if you just kind of do one of these. So this little range has been interesting in that we battled there a few days when we first got up and breached this 420 level. And then we keep wicking down into it, which is of interest. The Thursday move kind of made you feel like, okay, so we had some kind of inside candle bar moves here, and then we tested it, and you kind of felt like, obviously before the tweet, kind of felt like, all right, it's go time. And then this week came out and tanked everything. So I'd be interested in, number one, opening in the morning between, let's call it 420, 425, breach through this line that I just added as quickly as possible. Similar story, right? Right around that kind of 50% of the candle body of the entire move on Friday. So recapture, let's call it 426. And then from there, can we aggressively attack the upper range of the candle body? And if we have that in store, then what more do we have left? And so as the week goes on, I'd be looking for that. If you start capturing this 440 to 445 and certainly above 444 or 445, then I think bears on Tesla are in major trouble. Could it take longer? Yeah, sure. I mean, Tesla's was consolidating for an incredibly long time. But we talked about this a while ago. where like when you have consolidation moves that are this long, um, I mean, you're gonna make an aggressive move up. It already has, but I don't think it's gonna take us too long to get the next leg of that. So particularly on large names that get a lot of options volume, like Tesla, that trading volume sets you up for some incredible moves. And if on Friday you had this large sell-off plus the market-wide sell-off, then you've got to start wondering how many people lined up on the short side, how many people are going to be caught off sides, and is there any kind of squeeze potential there? So who knows? Maybe we can capture this level, like I said, and we start kind of coming up here and testing this 444. If we do that, particularly if we do that early in the week, then I think Tesla could have a really strong week. I think this is just like a really nice look where you just keep on kind of jumping off of these levels, and anything from like 410 to 420 has proven to be a little bit of a springboard. We're staying above it or above that range, and so it's only a matter of time until we're gone. Let's do Amazon, because Amazon's one that people are talking about and I think makes a lot of sense for a nice end of year run here, particularly going into earnings season. Let's see how that goes. But Amazon, talk about consolidating in a range. This was all tariff mania down here. Obviously, we know that. But basically from what we used to look at the wall of Bezos, right? We used to call 200 this kind of back here, right? This kind of really difficult ceiling, psychological level. A lot of people on Twitter kind of laughed that 200 was this wall of Bezos. So once we got through there, we were off to the races, and then we weren't so much. So 238, 240, call it. Kind of got up in there. The tariff debacle happened. And now we've just kind of been stuck. So Amazon year to date, yeah, it's like basically -3%, -2.5% year to date. That just doesn't check out. That doesn't make any sense. Not on a company that's, consistently doing well. Their margins continue to do well. AWS isn't going anywhere. So it's just a matter of time to get a catch-up trade on this. And let's check out what it's doing. Let's check out what it's doing in the overnight session. So we're getting 220. Yeah, there you go. What do you know? So something similar to my other charts. So key level 220. You see it marked off right there. It's doing that in the overnight. So can we hold that into the overnight? And can we open in this 220 to 222? If we can open there, then what do you know? About 50% of that candle body's recovered. And then how aggressive can we be to retake this section, right? These like the Thursday, the Wednesday move. This, when you have these three bullish candles like that, that's generally just a super bullish look. Doesn't always play out. And obviously Friday we got slammed down pretty hard. So now, knowing that fundamentally there's no issue with most of, especially these large, like the Mag 7, there's no fundamental issue here. And so I'd look to see how quickly can we try to recover these 225s, 226, 228. If we can get there, and we can get there quickly, it's a similar story. I'd look for a continued topside. And I'd wonder, depending on earnings, how soon can we start attacking 240? I have 238 leveled off here for myself, just so that I don't kind of miss that. And that's just this candle body close on September 9th. So if we can start attacking that, within the next 2 weeks, I'd be really happy. I've definitely been advocating for building a position in Amazon if you don't have one, or adding to an existing position if you do have one. I know personally I have some levered longs as well in the options market on Amazon with plenty of time on those contracts. That ends up being a key. Not quite leaps, but pretty far out there. So that would be something I'd be looking at doing. I think overall the market's looking quite decent now that we got a little bit of a de-escalation from Trump. So that's nice to see. And then some of these names, especially the more volatile names, I think tomorrow's going to be a pretty wild day. So just be ready. If on any of your chosen names, if you, like I said earlier, if you have some positions where you're not selling shares, but you're in pretty heavy and you want to add some puts, I would say, figure out what you want to pay for that insurance. Give yourself a little bit of time in the morning to kind of read what the behavior is. If the price action is just straight away negative for some reason, maybe I could see it. I don't expect that, particularly with what we're seeing in the overnight. So unless these overnight levels can't hold, I don't think you have too much of an issue there. Not financial advice, but it's definitely something you can add into the toolkit if you feel you need insurance. But I mean, I think top side is what we're looking at. I think can look at Bitcoin and then we'll close it out. So Bitcoin had a big move, but me personally, because I wasn't one of these levered long 100x positions on hyperliquid or something. It's a big move, but it's really kind of just the same, right? Like if you just kind of zoom out and look at this, it's just snaking through this range for months and months at this point, right? A huge candle, yes, absolutely. But the fact is, it just completes another trip up and down this range. And so now we're seeing, let's see, Saturday, Sunday. So you end up getting, so this is Saturday, Sunday volume down here. Yeah, I mean, that's big, right? Because this was literally the previous Saturday's volume. So that's pretty incredible. The previous Saturday's volume, Sunday's volume, yeah. So, we've been seeing some really, really low volume weekends. Not so much these last 2 days. So we've got the Monday candle for the last 2.5 hours. So yeah, we're pushing up a little bit, slightly. And what do you know? It's just another one of these snaking right back up. This one's obviously going to be a little bit more aggressive and more immediate. But that's what you get. You get a flash crash and a push back up because nothing's changed. It was just a tweet, and you get all this volume. You get cascading liquidations. So everything remains the same. Last week and the week before, I told you guys, all that matters to me is, and it's been since we were back here. So this is July 14th. So all that matters to me on Bitcoin is, do you first retake 120? And we were almost doing it, and then base 120. And if you can do that and make the move up, then it's off to the races. Or if you can just blow right past it. And if we blow right past it, particularly now, same story, even more so in crypto. If you get too many people on days like this, which was Friday, that number one, get liquidated, and then new players step in or existing players step in, either way, and start loading up on the short side, you are setting yourself up to get liquidated when the move goes to the other direction. So just like there's a bunch of degenerates that loaded the boat and thought we were going to 200 here, then you, and I'm not at all saying that I don't have levered long positions, not 100x or whatever it is on hyperliquid, but most of that stuff that I have has been bought at key points in areas where we were lower in this range, and I've been adding to some of those positions that are long dated. But as far as just spot holdings, that's pretty much just hold on, right? Hold on for dear life. So anyways, getting back to it. So the point is that, everybody who's short now is starting to see this move, and you got to really wonder how aggressive this going to be. And if this is the rocket fuel that you needed, then we may not be doing this little check-in and go. It may now just be, we're going to rip through this thing. And if we do, let's see what happens. But Bitcoin can catch a bid. It's been known to catch a bid. We are Q4. It's go time, and cyclically, whether you think that holds any weight or not, cyclically we're at that point where it's go time. So let's see. We got October, November roughly for when we would expect that move to happen. So keep an eye on Bitcoin. Keep it simple, right? Hold your spot bag. If you have some leverage in there, keep it very, very, very light, and just enjoy the ride. But until we capture 120 and either base off of it or just blow right through it, it's not really go time. And so in this week, if you see us kind of come up here and we're struggling around 117, 118, it's just nothing's going on. And the longer it takes, then you run into some issues just because of the timing of the cycle, like we said. But that's not. There's just nothing bearish about that. There's just nothing bearish about that at all. Come in and retest, get bought right back up, and then potentially it's go time. So we'll see. You see some levels that I have just psychologically for myself, just to start understanding where we might be moving to and what I think we might be seeing. So just one other thing to add on it, which I think I brought up last week. Just take note of where the volume is, right? Like this was the end of the bear. So you get this incredible volume out here. That's basically the market rolling over and everything getting traded and flushed, and then basically everybody setting up their new positions. So just a massive amount of trading goes on there. And then you start seeing essentially these runs, right, which was the Q4 run in the first year of the bull. The ETF, we talked about this last time, the ETF rollout, and then the Q4 run last year. And then if you notice, look where volume is, right? Like we've just got decreasing volume. And my question would be, is this the first candle that's going to have us doing one of these and going, oh, wow, look at the volume that came in. And if we get that, then that's going to start looking very similar to these moves over here, right? If we start getting a ton of volume, probably do it like this, right? You're looking at these all being potentially incredible moves. And so let's see if that happens. If that comes to fruition, we might be doing some wild stuff. So with that, we'll call it a night. We'll do maybe another video on sometime midweek, and then another one on Sunday to prep for the following week. So everybody have a good week, and happy trading.